I've tried these dating sites a couple of times, but I never found a good-looking girl until one day, where my friend told me to try this app called Tinder. So I did. After loads of disliking everyone, I found this girl that was perfect. She had long brown hair, eyes, big lips, and she was just beautiful. I liked thinking in my head, might as well, even though she probably wouldn't like my pics. After another hour I gave up, looking for a match, so I just went to sleep. I woke up the next day and checked my phone. It said I had a match. So I looked, and it was the beautiful girl from the pictures. The day before. She even left a message saying, "Hey babe." I said hi. About 5 minutes later she responded saying, "You're really cute." I was delighted that this gorgeous girl was calling me cute. And I responded with, "Really? You're so beautiful." She then responded with, "Yeah, you're handsome, sexy." So we chatted on for about 2 weeks. Things like soccer and dating stuff. Then one afternoon she said, "We should meet sometime." I said, "Yeah, that sounds cool. When?" She then didn't respond for 2 days, until she said, "How about tonight?" And she put her address and what time to be there. Red flags came up when she said 11 p.m. I thought it was weird. Why so late? But I just brushed it off. So I got ready at 10:30 and went off to that address. Now, when you're going off to meet a stranger, always tell someone where you're going, but I didn't tell anyone at all. More red flags were there when I saw this address was leading me into a no road. Never go off the road. Bad mistake. I reached the destination. When I saw big gates wide open, I drove through them. Her drive must have been 1 or 2 miles long, so that was another red flag. I finally reached the house, and it was massive, but what I noticed that there were no lights on, and no car was there, but being the stupid man I was, I got out of my car and knocked on the door. There was just something not right about this place. It had an eerie feeling to it. I then knocked harder since nobody answered. Again, nobody. I walked back over to my car. Then this older-looking man opened the door and said, "Oh, hi. Are you my daughter's date?" I responded with a quick "yeah." He then said, "Oh, okay. 2 seconds, she's just getting ready. Come in." I walked in and boom. I never knew it was that easy to kidnap someone. Then reality kicked in and I realized that I'm in this stranger's fucking house. He locked the door, then he said in a weird girly voice, "Sit down." I said, okay. He then came back in and sat right next to me, put his arm around me and said, "What you want to watch, honey?" I then got right up and said, "Where the fuck is my date?" He said in a girly voice, "I am." I bolted for the door. He then ran after me, pulling at me. I shouted for help, and he said there's no point. Nobody's around here. I did the only thing I could think of and hit him so hard in the balls that he dropped to the ground, and I dashed out of there. When I got to my car, it wouldn't turn on. He slammed open the door, and I got out and ran. He shouted, "Come back, baby, I just want to play." I ran as fast as I could, not even stopping to look back. I finally reached the gates and ran past them, over the back to the road. I ran onto the road and nearly got knocked over. They got out, shouting, screaming, but they saw the fear in my eyes. So they rushed me back to my town. I got a phone, and I phoned the police, but it was too late. The man got away. Trust me, I never went back on that app. And before I even go on a date with a girl online, I have to Skype or FaceTime her first. That sick, twisted fuck is still out there, tormenting young people. If I ever see him again, I will kill him. If you see him, run. Run as fast as you can to the nearest phone. And call the police. He's a dangerous man and needs to be locked up. This actually happened to my dad about 15 years ago. My family and I lived in these apartments in Southern California when I was young. I was 9 years old or so. Anyway, our apartment that we were renting at the time was quite big for a 2-bedroom place. It had 2 living rooms. Both bedrooms had walk-in closets, and the way it was arranged was the front door led into the first living room, with mine and my sister's room to the left. Just passing the first living room was our modest kitchen that also led into a hallway into our second living room and my parents' bedroom, respectively. I should also mention the way the outside was plays a big role in this story. Our second living room also had a door that led to the outside and to a small walkway that was gated off. My dad, being an electrician, had his humongous toolbox in that walkway outside, as it was gated off and secure. One night, my parents were about to go to sleep, until my dad heard his toolbox and the chain securing it being dragged across the walkway outside. My mom heard it as well, and aptly asked him if he heard that too. Confirming what he heard was correct, he proceeded to head outside, to the side of the house where his tools were, and knowing that there is pretty much one way out of there, he knew he had the burglar caught. With his baseball bat firmly in his grip, he yelled to the robber as he turned the corner, "Drop the tools, asshole!" He yelled firmly, only to find his toolbox still in its original place, and the noise of the heavy toolbox being dragged still present. Just then he smelled the worst stench he's ever smelled, like a rotting corpse that was just sprayed by a skunk with chlamydia. As he stood there in utter shock, the hair on his nape stood on end, and that sound suddenly turned into a kind of roar. The thing that scared him the most was that there was nothing there. Whatever it was invisible and inhuman. He then backed away slowly as he said prayers in Latin loud enough for this thing to hear, got to the door and quickly ran inside. When my mother asked him who was out there, he told her everything. She was so frightened. She began to weep, but my dad told her that it couldn't come to hurt us, and everything will be fine. He told us months later, not wanting to scare us, being that we were young at the time. But still, that was not the end of our experiences. But that's for another time. Backstory. One night I was in the woods with my friends. I was 12 then. I'm only 13 now. But anyways, I was the only one to bring my phone. It was getting dark out. I had been trying to scare my friend via text message about being alone in the woods. He gets paranoid easy, and so it worked. I told him I saw a cabin and was gonna go in. Now, my woods isn't really a place you want to be. This one blue shack gives you the strangest vibe. I swear it's haunted. There's a place that's full of spiders and has little waterfalls and currents where I've seen a satanic bunch doing weird things. These stories are for another time though, and I hope I'll be able to share them. Now that you have more backstory, let's begin. So my friends, one of them was my sister by the way, wanted to leave. I don't get scared easily. I've been there before just exploring with my cat. Yes, my cat, he will follow you anywhere. So I stayed. I'd explored the woods before, but I'd found a new place. so I turned the flashlight on my phone on and walked around for about an hour. My mom was either at work at the time or didn't care where I was, so I kept going. After a while, I was getting tired and was lost, and of course no signal. I turned off my phone in case I needed it later and saw, yeah, you guessed it, a cabin. There was a light on inside, so I went up and knocked. A man around 50, with a bit of a gut, going bald, about 5'8", appeared at the door. Man, what do you fucking want, kid? I don't want no Girl Scout cookies. Me, I was lost and I was wondering. Man, awkward laughter, you. Say, how old are you, girl? Me, I'm 14. Not wanting to say my age. Man, right. Well, you get in here. As I entered, I could see there was something off. You could see a bloody knife on the table next to the door, and a few guns everywhere. But I saw a deer head hang on the wall, so I figured he was a hunter. Well, I was very wrong. I heard a packet being opened and a little splash into water. He then came in and gave me a sip of water. You could see a bit of a pill at the bottom, but I was scared, so I drank it, accidentally spilling it, all after 1 or 2 tiny sips. He looked mad, but went to get me another. I grabbed a small knife, checking he was busy, and got the fuck out of there. He clearly noticed and ran after me, surprisingly fast. I was glad I was in cross country, so running through the woods wasn't as hard as you'd think, but that's when things got worse. I heard a truck start. I didn't check behind me, but I could hear him yelling.
Come back here, you bitch. You'd be perfect for my collection.
I didn't want to know what he meant, but I know he wasn't a normal hunter. I ran like hell, not caring about my asthma or the cramp I was getting in my side. I saw a pine tree farm. My eyes grew huge as I lived near a pine tree farm. The truck, of course, stopped and turned back as houses were all around. I could hear him yelling, "You bitch. I bet you aren't even 14. And with that, he was gone. I stopped running when I got to the road, glad I was near my house. Tired and close to coughing up blood, I threw up and laid down under a tree for my breathing to regulate, and I walked home. I have never told anyone this, but I'm glad I've never learned what his collection was, and I still do go into the woods, but never without my pocket knife, and always with someone. Hey everyone, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to True Subscriber Stories, Episode 1. This isn't going to be a weekly series, it will be an occasional thing. I do already have enough stories to do another episode, but I'm going to hold off for a little while. Maybe we'll get episode 2 in a week or two. Special thanks go to Alan Vasquez, Flower Whisker Ranter, and Dead Awakens for sending the stories in. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take good care of yourselves.